Before we get into it, I just wanted to first thank everyone for joining us today. I'm really excited for our first GFIT Wellness webinar, and I just wanted to introduce everyone to Cian Whalley. Cian's an expert in Zen, in mindfulness, in meditation. He's been practicing for his entire life. And he's also a super nice guy and a brilliant entrepreneur. And one of the things that resonated with me when I met Cian is he gave a whole bunch of examples how mindfulness has helped others in every area of their lives. And he gave examples of, losing 70 pounds or, giving up alcohol, getting promotion after promotion in the workplace, improving intimacy in relationships. And I knew that webinars like this and meeting with Cian and learning mindfulness and meditation could help me for sure, and to help our coaches and our clients. So I'm really excited to learn from Cian today, and hopefully all of you can take little nuggets of information from what you learned today and apply them to your life. So I'll turn it over to you, Cian.
Great. Thanks for that introduction, Grant. Yeah. So, like with any journey, it always starts with the first step. And so that's what today is the first step. We're just going to be laying the foundation for all of those things that Grant was talking about. Myself, I actually over the last 2.5 years lost over 70 pounds, and I credit it largely to the meditative practice that I started up about 3.5 years ago. Obviously there was exercise, nutrition, fitness, yoga, all of those things that Team GFIT does so well. For me, the reason I credit it to meditation is because of one thing. And that thing is, for most people, the problem is not being at the gym and doing the exercises. The problem is thinking about going to the gym and doing the exercises, or thinking about what they have to do when they get to work, or thinking about how hard this or that is going to be. So I'm sure some of you are nodding, because I myself was also in that situation. Even with a lifelong meditative practice, I didn't have a regular practice until almost 4 years ago. So what does a regular practice do? We're going to get into that when I start talking about the mind model and that, but for now, let's just suffice it to say that my analysis of the change that happened in me over the years, the foundational change was in the way that the mind worked and in the ability to let go of thoughts and not have so many things on the mind creating stress and the sense of anxiousness at having one more thing to do. So that was kind of the key nugget that unlocked everything else, right? It's really hard to force yourself to add on one more thing into your life, especially when mentally you're overloaded. Even if you may have time or space in your life for a new practice, for going to the gym, for running, for yoga, for whatever, mentally you might not actually be thinking that you do because there's just too much going on up here, right? So Now, I like my teachings to be more experiential. So before I get too much into sort of the foundational theory, I want to give you more of an experience. So we're going to do a quick little meditation, and it'll be a guided meditation, so much easier than just trying to do it on your own. And then we're going to start talking about the mind and how it works, and we might even talk a little bit about how the meditation that we just did works. So for this meditation, we're going to do maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. We'll just see how things flow here. I can't see anyone, so I'm just going to use my mind to try and see how everything's going. So what I would like you to do now is just sit in your chair and notice how I'm sitting forward in my chair a little bit for this meditation. So one of the key things in meditation is to ensure that your back is free. So it's not leaning on anything. So it has, it can move forward, backward. And you also want it to be sitting straight. So you don't want to be slouched. You don't want to be leaning back, although I don't know many people who would do that without leaning against something. So have your back relaxed. You don't want to be rigid and like pumping your chest out either, right? So you just like nice and relaxed, straight back. Let your chin decline down a little bit. And you can close your eyes or just gaze gently down the bridge of the nose. And now your feet, since we're all in chairs, we're not sitting cross-legged, and it's actually a common misconception that you have to sit cross-legged for meditation. The key is what I just said about the back. So for your feet, just have them parallel, your thighs parallel to the floor, and your feet parallel. Maybe have your knees a little bit wider so you have a really good like base for stability, so you're not falling over. Rest your palms gently on your knees. And just take a couple of breaths and just notice how those breaths feel right now. Okay. And now for your tongue, maybe moving around a little bit, let's just rest the tongue gently in the palate of the mouth at the top, behind the two front teeth. And we're going to start with a short little body scan. And what this is going to help us do is it's going to really connect our mind with our body, which will help both relax. This connection between mind and body is what calms us. So now I'm going to invite you with your mind just to start scanning your feet. And what you're looking for, just any sensations that are there in your feet. So you feel your socks. Do you feel the sensation of your socks? Do you feel the sensation of the ground beneath your feet? or the coolness of the air brushing against your feet, or anything else. Just look for what is there. No need to judge. We're just waking up ourselves. And now bring your awareness into your calves and your shins, and just scan the sensations in your calves and your shins. Just notice what is there. And now move your awareness up a little bit higher into your thighs and your hips. And do you notice anything different here? Maybe a little tension. Just notice how your spine sits in your pelvis, your hips. Feel it as you move. Just notice all those sensations. And now bring your awareness into your belly. Notice how you're holding it in, how there's a lot of tension there. So what I'd like you to do is just take a deep breath, a deep belly breath. Feel it blow up like a balloon. And then as you exhale, leave it out. Just let it be around for a few minutes. Let it be relaxed. Nobody's watching. Just let all of that tension, that subconscious tension we create by holding the belly in, let it all go for a little bit. And just notice how that shifts your breathing, how that opens up the belly for the diaphragm. So continue breathing deeply into your belly as we move our awareness further up. Now we're going to move our awareness into our heart centers, just at the center of our chest. And here I want you to really connect with the energy in your heart, the energetic sensations that are there, whatever you feel. Can you feel your heart pumping? Can you feel the beating or the energy flowing out of it? Just take a minute to appreciate all the work this heart does for you. For even when you're gone, in deep, dreamless sleep, this heart keeps beating and beating to keep you alive. So just take a moment as you're connected with these sensations in your heart and just send it some appreciation for all the work it does to keep you fit, to keep you alive and conscious. And just feel the energetic sensations build up in your heart in response to that appreciation and expand out into your shoulders. Feel, just follow those sensations down your arms, your elbows, through your forearms into your hands, and you can almost feel it going out the tips of your fingers. You feel those sensations. You feel the connection between your heart and your fingertips. It's there. Follow that connection back to the heart. And now follow the energetic sensations up into your throat. And just notice any sensations that are in your throat as you follow the energy up. And you might feel some energetic activation in your cheeks and your jaws. Maybe you're clenching your jaws a little bit. Just let the bottom jaw drop ever so slightly. So there's a little bit of space in between your teeth. And now follow that energetic sensations up across your face, past your eyes into your temples. And just swirl that energy and swirl your awareness around your temples a little bit. Might feel a little tickle or some other sensations there. And your brain might start to feel a little bit lighter. A little bit more open. And now bring your awareness across your forehead to the center and just rest it there for a moment. And just notice what is there, whatever sensations there are. Even the lack of sensation is a sensation, so just see what's there. We're just waking our body and our mind up and connecting them. Now bring your awareness back across the forehead to the crown of your head at the top. Imagine there's a little air hole in there. And take a deep breath in through the top of your head. And then exhale the stress and anxiety you may be holding out the top of your head. And then relax into this space. And now we are prepared for meditation. So let go of your breath. Double check your posture. Ensure your spine is free and not clenched. Relax the belly. And now I'd like you to direct your awareness to the breath at the tip of the nose. And just breathe in and out. And don't control the breath, just notice it. Just feel the sensations of the breath in your nose. And really bring your focus into these sensations. But don't forget about the rest of your body. Keep it there in the background with your focus on these sensations. Now that you are focused, for every in-breath, I'd like you to count 1. And then for every out-breath, 1. And then 2. 2. All while maintaining your awareness on the breath at the tip of the nose. And at some point you may find that you've been counting, but your awareness shifted from the breath into a thought or some other sensation, maybe some pain in your hips. Just when you do notice, be happy and smile. This is not a failure. In fact, the goal of meditation is not to maintain focus at all times, but to become aware when focus is lost. See, we lose awareness, and then at some point it comes back. So just be thankful when it comes back. And then bring your awareness back to the breath at the tip of the nose. And then start back with 1. And if you should lose awareness of the breath again, just smile and be glad you woke up. Bring it back to the breath. And now slowly increase your breath, deepen it. Wake up your fingers and your toes. Maybe move your back and your neck around a little bit. You might be a little stiff. And open your eyes and come back. And now we are all in a good space to receive a talk about the mind and to try and understand a little bit about what was going on. So just take a moment to reflect on what happened in your mind while you were attempting to focus. Many people get frustrated when they're trying to meditate. And this is the biggest mistake that people make, is this frustration. It's the biggest hindrance to meditation. Because they think they should just be able to. Why can't I? Why can't I just sit and focus? And so it's so simple. Am I not in control? What is it? Why are all these thoughts distracting me? What is going on? Like, I get up in the morning, I make my coffee, I go to work, and all these things I do with intention. Why can't I just focus? What is this subconscious part of you, of me, that is sabotaging my intention? So reflect on that for a moment. When's the last time, I don't know, maybe a New Year's resolution or some other, you decided you wanted to change some aspect of your life, only to find that some subconscious part of you is not having it? As soon as you get to sit down to do it, it's like, nah, I'm too tired, or not today. What is that? What is it that prevents people from adopting an exercise practice? What is it that keeps people from changing. It's the same thing that prevents you from focusing on the breath. And that's why meditation is so powerful, is because it cuts out all of the other variables of life, and it shines a light on the fact that we are not in total control of our beings, of what we do. It shows us, oh, I set the intention to focus on my breath, but I can't. I can for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Why? And asking that question, why, is the first step, is the important part. Because eventually you can find the answer. And you know, like, the answer's all over the place. Like, neuroscience has figured this out. Ancient Tibetans figured this out. Many, many, many other contemplative traditions have also figured this out. So, but I like the neuroscience aspects of this stuff. So let's get into the mind model and explain a little bit about why this happens. So for the mind model, let's imagine that we're in a boardroom and there's a ton of us. I'm just blown away at how many of you there are. This is just wonderful. So let's imagine we're all sitting at a big boardroom table. And each one of us represents a certain function. You know, VP of marketing, VP of sales, VP of whatever, or director. But instead of like the functions of a business, let's say each of us represents a function of the mind and body complex. So maybe Arturo over here is, you know, auditory, Colleen is somatic, Grant is a hearing, right? And you know, the rest of us all have different jobs as part of this whole being, this whole body. You know, somebody out there is beating the heart constantly. Now, we all need to communicate, but our respective areas, like, we're all representatives at this boardroom table of, you know, seeing things, of hearing things, of moving, of sensing things. But our organizations don't really talk. Like, they do a little bit, but it's very sort of low level, almost automatic communication. And this is what we call subconscious communication. So there are certain functions of the body, like, for example, when you hear a sound, you don't just hear the sound, you hear the direction, right? So there's right and left ears. The sound hits the right ear at a different time than it hits the left ear. There's some communication at the subconscious layer between the part of your mind that receives those sounds, that mixes them together and infuses a sense of direction before the sound reaches the conscious level at the boardroom table. So Grant would be like, hey, I heard Cian snap his fingers off to the right. Or maybe for you guys, it's the left. I don't know how this Zoom thing works. So there is some subcom, but it's not very intelligent communication between our organizations. The real nitty-gritty, the real conscious, intelligent communication happens at the boardroom table. Now, the challenge is that each of these board members, and I'm also going to call them sub-minds, just like I'm the only one talking right now and everyone else is muted, this is the same at the boardroom table, is that only one sub-mind, one boardroom director can talk at a time. So, you know, if the auditory guy has something to say, he's like, hey, I just heard Cian snap his fingers. Nobody else can talk at the same time. And if somebody actually does, there's like a collision and it's all lost and somebody has to start over. Hopefully not colliding again. So this limitation is kind of key in the way the mind works, right? So if you think about it, only one can talk at a time. That means that you can only have so many moments of talking in any given second. So we're gonna say these are mind moments, right? So one message from auditory, one message from visual, one message from sensation, somatic. That would be 3 mind moments. And then maybe there would be, there's kind of the mind that works with temporary memory that will take all 3 of those and mix them together with some visuals and create this kind of experience that we have. But the intensity of this experience is limited by the capacity of your brain, by these mind moments. So let's just say, and don't quote me on these numbers, I'm just making them up as an example. Let's just say that the average human has about 100 mind moments per second. Okay? Obviously, some have more, some have less. It's probably most have much, much more. But for this example, let's just say it's 100. Now, your normal day-to-day walking around, heart beating, staying conscious, scratching, all this stuff, let's just say on average that takes up about 50. Okay, so just being alive takes up about half of the mind moments that you have available. And then all those things you ruminate on. Oh, when am I going to get paid next? Oh, I got to go get the car fixed. Oh, my boss is getting down on my case. Oh, my girlfriend's really sad. All these things that run through your mind throughout the day also take up mind moments. So what happens when somebody gets really loaded down with all of these thoughts, like they can't let them go, they keep running through their minds? And I'm sure all of you have had a night or two in the past where you just could not go to sleep because things are running through your mind over and over and over and over and over again, right? So that uses up. So say we're normally at 50, but this is now added up to 90, maybe 95, right? A lot of people walk around every day at that 95. I'm not kidding. And then so one more thing, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? One more thing happens. Somebody cuts them off in traffic, or they spill their coffee on their shirt, or anything, even like some minute thing that shouldn't really bother you happens. What happens is it pushes you over that edge. Boom, you hit 100. And what happens when you hit 100 is one of these board members is trying to talk, but there's no space. So now he's talking at the same time as somebody else, and boom, right? All of a sudden, everyone's talking at the same time, and there's just this feeling of stress and anxiety as your brain's neural network is overloaded with too much. So it starts throwing things out. And the problem is that it doesn't really get to choose. There's not a hierarchy of what's more important, right? It's random. You're throwing sensations out. Now, obviously, there's some hierarchy, like there's subconscious processes that keep going, like your heartbeat, usually. Usually, hopefully. But at the conscious level, it's like throwing stuff out, because the conscious layer only gets, again, 100. We're using them all up all the time. This is stress and anxiety, and it's this running at 95%. That feeling of running at 95% where you know that one more thing, like at a deep level, you know that one more thing is going to push you over. And that's why you can't just even imagine going to the gym or taking on that new task, or you get home at the end of the day and it's like you don't want to see your friends and family. You're just like, I've used it all. All of the energy's gone because I've been running at 95% for, I don't know, years, decades, months. Depends on the situation. So that's interesting. Cian, like, how does that help me? So this is where meditation comes in, right? And so to link that mind model back to meditation, we have to go back to what I was talking about earlier, how you're trying to focus, but then you lose focus. And it's like, oh, why do you lose focus? Well, the second aspect of the boardroom is that you are actually the observer. You are the room. And the board members are all of the subminds in your body-mind complex. And they're kind of untrained. The ancient Tibetan metaphor that they use for this is they're like a pack of wild horses tied together with rope. So you imagine you have these wild horses, one's running this way, one's running that way, and they're all tied together with a rope. So you really only go in the direction of the strongest one at any given moment. But eventually that one gets tired because he's pulling against all the others, and then it goes the other way. And this is kind of the way that we make decisions, is the decisions are made at the subconscious layer. They're projected into the conscious layer of the boardroom, and there's like this energetic fight which drags us one way or the other. And that fight also includes the fact that we're running out of space, right? So it's very complex. How transformational would it be if all of those horses started running in the same direction? Can you imagine that? It's probably a little hard to imagine, where you're no longer fighting against yourself. You're no longer fighting with all these thoughts, feelings, emotions, that everything's just kind of flowing in the same direction. And the direction can change, but it all changes at the same time. So that's part of what meditation does. So how does it do that? Well, let's go back to the practice that we just did, right? So, okay, guys, let's focus on our breath. No, I want to think about the stove. Did I leave the stove on? Did I pay that guy or did I forget to pay him? And then, oh, wait, hold on. Come back. Let's focus on the breath. What's going on there? So you set the intention to do something, and then some submind, one of these board members, says, oh, no, this is more important. But then another guy says, oh, wait, were we supposed to be doing this? Or do you want to keep sort of thinking about things that we think are important? So that's why, if you recall the instructions, when I said when you get distracted, you're off in these thoughts out here in la la land. And then at some point, it's like, oh, did you want to be focused on the breath? This is when you wake up and you realize, oh, I was distracted. And this is why frustration is the number one hindrance to meditation. If at this moment that you wake up and you notice you were distracted, you get frustrated, you're actually telling the submind that told you were distracted, no, I don't want to notice when I'm distracted. That's because you're giving this feeling of frustration and anger at what just happened, right? And these subconscious processes that project this stuff up aren't like they're like a child or a dog, right? They need to be trained by the consciousness, right? So the training is done via feedback. So if you're giving this negative feedback at this moment, it's like, okay, fine. Stay in la la land, right? Go be more distracted. And then eventually meditation gets really difficult because it takes longer and longer and longer the more frustrated you get to wake up. And then you just give up because you're like, oh, meditation's not for me. I just have a busy mind. And I hear this all the time. And this is just confusion, right? So when you wake up, appreciation, gratitude. Oh, thank you for waking me up, letting me know I was distracted. Let's go back to the breath. And so consider this like one rep. So like you're in the gym and you're pumping iron, 1 rep, 2 reps. This, getting distracted, coming back, getting distracted, coming back. Those are reps for your mind, right? So now you're at the gym for your mind. I'm getting distracted, I'm coming back. And the interesting thing is this is exercising a couple of facilities in your mind. Number one, you're learning what it feels like to wake up. And number two, you're actually, by staying focused and staying focused and staying focused, you're increasing the capacity of mind moments. And that's actually one of the reasons you get distracted. There's more important things, but also you're losing energy. And there's some sort of calculation that says, this is too high energy. Let's go to something a little easier to process, like distracting thoughts, right? But we all know lifting weights, staying focused on something that's hard is good. Trying to stay too focused and force it is not good. It's like lifting too much weight, right? You're just going to hurt yourself. And the other interesting thing that happens is you start to learn, you're training yourself to let go of thoughts. So you're not pushing them away and getting frustrated, like, go away, leave me alone, because then they just come back stronger, right? You're just like, oh, I was distracted, I was asleep. I just got woken up. Thank you. And you learn, and by just gently coming back to the breath, you're learning how to let go of thoughts that are bothering you. So now we go from running at 95 of 100. Let's just say that maintaining focus in the high energy state, let's just say that bumps you up from 100 to 150, just so I don't have to do hard math. Right, so now you're at 95 of 150. That's great. Now you don't have that feeling of I'm almost at the max. I can take on the world now. But that's not all. The 95 starts to shrink as well, because the thought about your girlfriend that was bothering you, or the guy that you forgot to pay, or your boss getting on your case, they sure, they still come up, but then you're like, yeah, thank you, but I'm just going to go back to what I was currently engaged in or focused on and let that thought go. So now you've increased your capacity to 150, but you've also started dropping that 95 down to like 75, 60. I mean, you're not going to go past the 50, which is your baseline, right? Whatever that is. But you've gone up to 150 and say you've gone down to 75. Now, instead of 5 free mind moments a second, you have 75. Can you imagine how transformational that would be? Can you imagine how easy doing new things would become? To not feel like you're always running on empty. Where am I going to fit things in? Right? So yeah, that is the mind model in a nutshell. So in summary, your mind has a limited capacity to deal with day-to-day problems. The mind's capacity gets used up by background thoughts and ruminations. Meditation increases that capacity, and meditation also reduces the background thoughts and ruminations. And don't worry if you guys forget this stuff. I'm sure we'll send out some links. I've got some articles I've written that kind of summarize this. But now, with that in mind, I'd like to take us through one more guided meditation. maybe about 15, 20 minutes. And then Grant can pop on and sort of close up. So let's do that now. So again, just find your sitting posture. Sit up in your chair. Make sure you're not leaning back. Make sure your back is free to move and you're sitting up straight. Shoulders relaxed. Feet flat on the ground. Take a couple of breaths and just notice how they shift your body and then just fall into that sort of nice posture. The back of your head come up and your chin go down just a little bit. Either close your eyes or have your gaze lightly focused in the space in the air just down the bridge of your nose. And now, since we're already in this state, we don't need to start with a body scan. We can just go right into the meditation. And another thing to note as you start to focus on the breath at the tip of your nose is just to notice if this is any different than the last one, given what you just learned. So now bring your awareness into your breath at the tip of the nose. And once you've locked on to those sensations, begin your count at 1. And if you do manage to get to 10 without being distracted, again, just smile and be thankful. And just restart at 1. And remember, the goal isn't to get to 10. This is just a mechanism to help us become aware when we lose awareness. The goal is to wake up and have that loss of focus and gain of focus. And do your reps. And if you find yourself fidgeting or moving too much, this is just like thoughts. Just smile, be glad you noticed, and go back to one. Just remember, every time you lose focus and regain it, this is a rep. So even if it becomes hard or you're getting tired, this is normal. Just like your first time going to the gym. Just be happy you're here. As you learn to focus more on the breath at the tip of the nose, you may eventually notice that you increase the resolution of the sensations of the breath. It's almost like as you gain more mind moments or capacity, that you get to zoom in. You just feel the sensations in so much more detail. What was once smooth may become bumpy or like a bunch of pulses. That's when you know you've become very, very focused. It's when you start to zoom in. Instead of the breath feeling like one single continuous pull, it may feel like a bunch of little ones. Slowly deepen your breath. Wake up your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes. Move around. Get any of the kinks out of your back. And go back to a comfortable sitting position. And there we are. I think that's it for today. I'd like to thank you all for, joining me in this talk today. I really enjoyed talking with you guys. I love talking about this stuff. If you ever want to talk about this stuff, let me know. Let Grant know. There's so much depth, as you can probably tell just from the topics we skimmed over. And I guess I can hand it back to Grant to wrap up.
Awesome. I just wanted to thank you very much. First of all, I can say that my boardroom is very full right now. There's a lot of people trying to talk.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I feel those feelings where there's not much left in me to, take on some of the things that I would really like to. So that was a great analogy and very beneficial. But my question is, okay, so what's next for me personally? Coming to that realization, which I think I already knew prior to the call,
Yeah.
what can I do to help myself to have more of those, have more spare thinking moments to help me deal?
Good question. Excellent question, actually. So it's really, really simple. It's also very difficult, like any practice. Is the best thing to do, I mean, beyond what you guys already do with nutrition and exercise and all of that, is just to fit in 5 to 10 minutes a day of meditation. This exactly what we've just done. 5 to 10 minutes is all it takes. Preferably in the morning, so you won't be sleepy, right? So you wake up, maybe you do 5 minutes of cardio just to like get the body sort of awake. But then before you even eat or shower or anything, just like do a quick 5-minute meditation, 10 if you're feeling, you want to really go for it. I wouldn't even recommend more than 10 for the first 3 months. And actually, like, within a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to already start noticing differences. Like, you're already going to start seeing more capacity. Within 3 months, you're actually going to, in most cases I've seen, undergo really foundational changes where certain things you used to do to deal with that anxiety, that feeling, like maybe drinking too much or having too much coffee or sweets or whatever it is, like we all have our different things that we use to placate that feeling and to like distract ourselves. Those things will just start to drop. You won't like feel like you're quitting them, right? You just don't feel like you need them anymore, right? As much. So yeah, and from there it's a matter of how far do you want to go with it. Some people are perfectly happy with getting to that 3-month point where now the mind is calm, now they've got the cycles, and then they can just do the things they want to do in life. But obviously, with any practice, you can go into the professional realm and go so much deeper. So, yeah, and there's always coaching that can go along with that kind of thing, right? You don't have to do it alone.
Excellent. And I was just wondering, like, I'm pretty sure that if you have a couple more minutes, I'm pretty sure that there's a raise your hand feature that we can use on this call. And
Perfect. Yeah.
maybe we can open it up for a question or two if anyone has any questions. And if you guys click on your screen, Mohammed, maybe you can. Oh yeah, there's a Q&A. Just trying to see here. There's definitely a chat.
Yeah, if you guys just want to like write your questions into the chat while we try and figure out the tech stuff, that's fine. I can just answer any questions you have there as well. Or if, you know, this is too real time and you come up with questions later, I guess like you can hand out email addresses in that grant.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the other thing that I was going to mention is, um, would you mind if I shared your contact information with anyone that is interested in that? They might want to reach out to you for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's Cian at mindhacker.com. What are your thoughts? We got a question from Karen or Karan. What are your thoughts on meditation at night? Is morning better than night? Well, it it really depends on you. I do both. Um, most people find meditation at night is harder for a couple of reasons. Number one, family. Everyone's awake. Everyone's demanding your time in the evenings. Um, Number two is energy levels, right? You've gone through the day, you got home, now you're dealing with family, you're dealing with dinner, you're dealing with all of these things. And you may find maintaining that focus is a lot harder and less enjoyable. That doesn't mean it's worse. In fact, it can actually be better to practice meditation in the evening. It's just more, it just seems more difficult, right? So I think it's great. I think if you want to do it, it's great. And you're going to find what works best for you through experimentation. And that I'm a really big advocate of experimentation and finding out what works best. Because there's a lot of different variables that you can control. Another thing I did want to mention, and somebody was talking about a guided meditation, and I'll address that in a second, is there's a technology called binaural beats. So there's these apps called Headspace or Insight Timer, or, you know, I even have a podcast where I give away guided meditations that have binaural beats in them for free, just on www.somewhere.ca on the podcast section, or mindhacker.com. And these binaural beats, what they do is they play with sound in your ears, and they create two separate tones, which creates a third tone in your brain, and it synchronizes the hemispheres of your brain to the frequency that's optimal for you to be in a focused state. And so it actually makes meditation seem easier. Sometimes there's a groove you can get into where you kind of get stuck in the focus, and you're surprised, like, oh wow, where are all the thoughts? Like it kind of optimizes your path in getting to that point. Somebody else said, I use guided meditation for restful sleep. Do you think that's actually helpful? Yes, absolutely. Anything that helps you sleep better is helpful. You know, falling asleep during meditation is not going to do the things that I talked about, but being well rested enables you to do the things that I talked about, right? So there's some foundational things, which I think GFit lives and dies by, which is like proper nutrition, proper rest, proper exercise. You know, I didn't get into these a lot, but all of these things are foundational, like in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like you need all of the things at the bottom before you can get to self-actualization. So you need all of like nutrition, rest, exercise, and then meditation kind of sits on top of that foundation and optimizes the brain as long as the body's capable of providing the energy that it needs to do the meditation. So I hope that answers that question. There is another question here. Oh, I like this question from Lana. People who regularly meditate and are good at it, how does it impact your dreams? Oh, this is my favorite topic. I don't get to talk about it a lot. I am an avid lucid dreamer. I do lucid dreaming. I do out-of-body experience like astral projection. And what I'll say is meditation, a regular practice like I talked about, dramatically improves your ability to remember dreams and optimizes your mind for actually waking up inside the dream. So not just inside this dream, the one where we're like distracted in thoughts and then we wake up and we're like, oh, I was distracted. But you can actually like inside the dream that you're having, all of a sudden, poof, you can just be like, oh, I was asleep. I'm in a dream. Why is there a dragon coming at me? And you can actually start to interact with the dreams and change them and do all sorts of other really fun and entertaining things at night. I mean, going into the lucid thing generally requires other training as well, which I also do teach people how to do, if there's an interest in that. But you can accidentally lucid dream, and that's what happened to me when I first started meditating. About 3 months in, I started lucid dreaming, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then I met a teacher who is like, oh, here's how you can use this and what you can do with it. So yeah, meditation improves your ability to stay conscious in states of mind where you're normally not, if that makes sense. Yeah. I hope that answered your question. Are there any other questions?
Cian, I just wanted to go back to the binaural beats quickly for 1 second because I use them often when I'm working to get me really, really focused when I've got a lot to do.
Alpha brainwaves, yeah, creative, yeah.
But what you're saying is,
yeah. So what I'm saying is, so binaural beats is the mechanism, and then there are different target states that they can put you in. So I'll give you a little. So what you use are binaural beats for creativity and focus.
Yeah.
And that puts your brain into alpha brainwaves. So that's a highly energetic, focused, creative state where you're like, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to like, create a new email for something. Whatever is the work that you do, this would be alpha binaural beats. For meditation, generally you want to target theta. So that's the theta brainwaves is where your brain goes between awake and asleep. So if you're just falling asleep or if you're just waking up, that's the state of theta brain waves. And it's usually a very short transition state, but it's also a very creative state where, you know, sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you just have these brilliant ideas and you got to write them down or they're gone as soon as you exit that state. And then there's another, so I've also used this when I was in India for a month. I stayed in this monastery with these monks, and they had these little black dogs. 3 dogs are all brothers, and all night long they would be barking, chasing the monkeys away from the monastery. So it was like like all night. I like could not sleep, like no matter how hard I tried. So I ended up using Delta binaural beats, which I had on my phone, and I was out like a light, like a baby. One, they helped block the noise of the dogs, though not perfectly, but 2, they just drop your brain into that deep, deep, deep sleep, and you just sleep like the dead with those. Yeah. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, if there's no other questions, Arturo's prodding me to mention that we are doing an exclusive meditation retreat in February. I think it was the second Saturday in February. Let me just check this here. Yeah, February 8th at 1 p.m. I think. We'll send out details. But yeah, so on February, mark your calendars, February 8th at Yoga Public. I am teaching about a 5-hour meditation retreat where we go really deep into this stuff. So I do a talk similar to the one about the mind model. I get into attention and awareness, the 5 hindrances of meditation. So all the things that come up that like stop you, as well as we do some very deep work on the meditation techniques, different types of meditations. So I've done this retreat a couple of times, and I've taken like complete beginners, people who've never meditated before, and we start it with a 10-minute meditation, and everyone's kind of shifting and moving and like scratching their nose at the beginning, and by the end, like these are people who wouldn't even imagine doing a half-hour meditation when they walked in, but at the end of the retreat there was 14 of them sitting perfectly still, back straight, not moving an inch for a half hour. I was like blown away at how effective it was. And you know, they walk away like with that skill forever, you know. So we'll be doing an exclusive one for GFit in February. So stay tuned for that.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate having you. I think everyone learned a lot today, and we're excited for more webinars and the retreats. And I'll certainly pass your information along to anyone who's interested in learning some more. Maybe setting up some one-on-one guided meditation. We could provide your website as well, so that people can get more familiarized with your practice and what you teach, and your philosophies. And I just wanted to say thanks again. Today was awesome.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really enjoy this.
All right, we'll end the meeting, and thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thank you.